is the absolutely exciting brand new Fender Acoustasonic Player Telecaster. This is cool and nimble and light and diverse, and there's so many cool things packed into this. Let's talk about it. But before we do that, make sure you're subscribed. I'm Jeremy, I'm the Guitar Hunter, and this is such a cool guitar. Okay, so the Acoustasonic has been around for a long time. They used to be really bad, really boring in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then they really got their mojo back a couple years ago with the Telecaster and the Stratocaster, and this is the most recent version to join that pedigree, that history, that legacy of this kind of guitar. Now this is a guitar that feels like an electric guitar, but it is incredibly playable and fun, and it sounds like a giant acoustic guitar. Now, these guitars, the exciting things about this, so this is the first one made in the brand new state-of-the-art factory in Ensenada, Mexico. And as someone who's played both of them, all of the American ones and now this one, I cannot perceive a difference in the quality. That's the thing that has blown my mind. The quality and the fit and the feel of the neck on this is amazing. It is smooth and really well built. The edges of the fingerboard are really well rounded. It feels as good as an American Pro 2 and that kind of modern, amazing, great quality Fender guitar. So I want to run through a couple of the controls and a couple of the specs and options. This guitar comes in 4 different colors. I elected for Arctic White because I think that's a really cool color, but it also comes in a shadow burst. It comes in a butterscotch blonde finish, and also it comes in, I think they call it brushed black. It's a kind of cool matte black. The last one I had was a slate gray, and it was really cool. I'm excited that I went with a bright white color on this because I think it's cool to bring contrast to there's a lot of wood tones on this, and I think with the darker colors they seem to get lost. What's cool is they have streamlined this guitar and they've added a couple features that are really helpful. So with the Acoustasonic Jazzmaster that came out earlier this year, it's a 5-way switch, and so with it there was so much you had to keep track of. It basically was all the way back was the pickup, and then you had the pickups inside the guitar, and then you had 3 different voicings, and there's 2 different slides, and so it just got to where you had to use your brain so much. And so with this, it's much more stripped down. It feels much more agile, nimble, prepared for stage, studio, at home, whatever you want to do. It's way easier. So come in close. I want to show you some of the controls. So basically within this guitar, there's 3 kinds of pickups. You have the bridge pickup that you know in this first position, and you have a volume control, and then you have a boost control in here. So all the way back counterclockwise is just the pickup by itself. If you then if you turn this knob, you're going to add I think it's a 10 or 25 decibel boost. You're basically adding gain from the preamp within the guitar itself, and you are adding some gain there. That gives this to where you can feel like a clean Telecaster kind of bridge pickup, and then from there you can push it up and you can get a lot more gain, a lot more drive. Now, the second position, this is only a 3-way switch, feels more like a Telecaster. In there you're using the inside transducers within the guitar. Again, you have volume here and you have a boost as well. So this gives you a sound unlike any guitar that I really know, and that's where the Acoustasonic, to me it feels like it could live in a really weird like alt-rock kind of place, because it just sounds cool and woody and warm and totally different. Now, the third position up here, they have picked the 2 best acoustic pickup sounds that people tended to prefer most, which is a full-blown Rosewood Dreadnought or a 00 or a smaller acoustic guitar kind of feel. So what I have found for me, preferentially, I like the volume all the way up on this, and then I like to blend all the way to the back and then just come maybe an 1/8 of a turn or a 1/4 turn back in. So basically it's giving me the Rosewood, the big bassy Rosewood Dreadnought sound, but with that blend I'm getting just a little more. So all of that is coming from this transducer pickup under the saddle like a traditional acoustic guitar. one of the biggest changes to what they've done with this guitar is how they amplify it. Okay, so in the last version, there was a USB port next to the jack. Our muscle memory as guitar players is that this jack is centered. So if you're on a stage and you're plugging in your guitar, you're gonna go straight down the middle, but with that, it was just off to the side. So what they've done is they have removed the internal battery, and now there's a 9-volt battery right here in the back. Oh, it got grumpy when I did that. But, so there's a 9-volt battery that lives here inside the back of the guitar. There we go. In a deeply practical way, that's really helpful. I feel like it would be like driving a Tesla and having range anxiety. Because it's an internal battery that can only be charged with a USB, it was a USB micro. And so I would always have this stress of like, is my guitar charged up? Is it going to last the whole time? What do I need to do that's, how do I take care of that battery? So I think this way, I get to just have a stack of 9-volt batteries in the case with me. And from there, I don't feel worried or stressed or anxious about it. Now you can see just the general construction of this guitar is exceptional. It's incredibly light. The finish is really wonderful and really satin. Now one thing that I have noticed is that this guitar is, it's very light. I'll have to weigh it. We'll put the weight in here, but it's just a couple pounds. The only real weight on the body seems to be the headstock and the neck. So the way to get around this, I am not saying that this guitar is neck heavy, but it leans that way, but I think you can fix it. So what I noticed is I was playing with a nylon strap. If I play with a leather strap or something that has a little more grip and it can sit on my shirt and my shoulder, it would sit a lot more level and it would be a lot better to just kind of stay put. Now, this all begs the question, and what always seems to come up is the question of who is this guitar actually for? This guitar is for someone who wants an amazing sounding acoustic guitar. They want a really diverse guitar. This would work really well for someone that can't handle heavy guitars and wants one guitar that they can load and that would do everything they need to do. So if you're in a cover band, if you're in an acoustic band, if you play in church, if you're in an alt rock kind of band and occasionally you need to sound like an electric guitar, I think that this thing is just straight down the middle for you. To me, this guitar makes total sense to that kind of player. Now, if you want a bright, spanky, super present Telecaster, get a Telecaster. If you want a great sounding acoustic guitar, you can put a pickup that would sound a lot like this in whatever acoustic guitar you want. But if you're in the place in which you would need all of these things in the same guitar, I think that this guitar is incredibly well suited towards that. Overall, my thoughts on this guitar, I have not been able to put this guitar down. And I've had a couple others of these, but to me, I think that this is the best that this thing has been. You could make a case for getting the multiple acoustic modes, but this feels like a sports version of a car that you really like already. A fun and nimble, agile little car that all of a sudden, so think like a Ford Focus, there's such a huge difference by the time you get to an ST version. So this feels like it's stripped down, it's sleek, it is a little more aggressive and a little more present, and it just is like awesome and exciting and captivating. I think the price point on this is amazing. These are gonna be $11.99, and that's where a lot of the Mexican-made guitars have now just crossed over the $1,000 price range. But I think that that's so much guitar for the money. To me, like I said, I can't really perceive a difference in quality, construction, fit, features compared to the more expensive versions of these. But I think that they're really, really cool. Moving to the 9-volt battery inside was a huge advantage for this. It took away just a worry and a disadvantage from this. So overall, how does it sound? And then what are the advantages and disadvantages? So overall, I think that this thing sounds really cool. It does not sound like an acoustic guitar through a microphone. Very few acoustic pickups actually do that. That is one of the largest challenges, even within incredibly expensive, incredibly amazing acoustic guitars. It is such a huge challenge to get to where you make it sound like that guitar, just louder. That's an impossible feat, but this, because we have now lived with piezo pickups and transducer pickups in acoustic guitars, we have lived with this being the sound of an acoustic guitar. This sounds like an iconic, really cool guitar. So Dylan, who's actually holding the camera now, one of the things earlier he mentioned about this guitar was that if you close your eyes this sounds like a guitar at a concert. This sounds like a guitar through a giant PA speaker, and I think it completely nails it. I think with the blend, you can totally get the sound that you want. On the bridge pickup, it sounds a little bit underwater. It's a little, there's not quite enough treble. I'm really curious to see the other kinds of strings, to change the strings on this and see how that affects the sound of the pickup. Because it could be, these are 80-20 bronze. It could just be that this pickup and these strings are just a little muddy, so maybe trying some nickel strings on this. Anyway, I'll let you know how that goes. But so I think it sounds like a really good acoustic guitar the way we've understood acoustic guitars. I think the electric guitar pickup is a little, like, I probably just tweak the amp. This guitar at some points is way too dark, and at other times way too trebly. So how would you use this? I would run this through 2 amps. I think if I would just take this guitar out, I would mostly play it into a PA through a DI box and like some things on the, like I'd play this at church or in a bar into a big PA. And with that, I would mostly view it as an acoustic guitar sounding thing, and then occasionally kick it back to use the bridge pickup. But I think other people, it would be trickier to use this running into like a Deluxe Reverb or a Hot Rod Deluxe or something like that. So as we were doing it, I mean, you can hear it's really shrill. It's very jangly, very glassy when you use the acoustic pickup. I've been vacillating between the 2 main pickups. The other question in how it sounds is the transducer pickups inside. They're very interesting. They sound very, I think that's the place where you could have the most room to play around with this, because it's just, there are 3 such distinctly different sounds coming out of this guitar. And finally, that arrives us at disadvantages. Now, there are very few disadvantages on this guitar, and I don't think that there are any that would disqualify it from being a cool guitar that most people would find something really interesting about. But I think the bridge pickup is a little dark. I think the acoustic pickup is a little shrill. My only complaint is they've stripped down the control so much, but even on the old ones, you didn't have a tone control. And so with this, you have a blend, and so you can blend between 2 profiles. Like in the acoustic, it's between 2 profiles. And then the other 2 positions, you're just changing the gain. So there's no way for you to actually change much of the EQ of this guitar. In the acoustic pickup, you blend between a brighter sounding acoustic guitar and a darker sounding acoustic guitar, and you can kind of blend, and that's my favorite tone. But I think that this guitar, unless you really trust the sound person out front, I think you would need some kind of EQ control on the ground, and it would need to be a little nimble, a little diverse, because this guitar is too dark in some places and too bright in other places. So you would need some level of control. I wish that that was on the guitar itself. Other disadvantages, like I said, it's a little neck heavy, and so you would just need to change the plan of what strap. The other thing is, this is a lot. Like, this is a lot to get used to, and this is a polarizing kind of guitar. Advantages, disadvantages, like I said, I haven't been able to put this guitar down the last couple days. It's been the thing I want to play. I think it's really cool. I think I want to hang on to this one. And the last thing I have to show you is the gig bag, because I think that this, for me, it's one of the most impressive things that came with the American Jazzmaster, and it's just really cool. So, this is the gig bag that it comes with. It is incredibly resilient, really good quality. This is not the gig bag you and I grew up with that was just a terrible plastic shell that was guaranteed to damage your guitar. This is thick and plush and protective. What I really like, it has really great neck support in here. Big squashy blocks. It also came with a humidity, like this Boveda. I don't know how you pronounce this brand, but it came with I'm assuming this does something similar to the Diodario acoustic packs, but it would help with humidity, and because this is more of an acoustic guitar than an electric guitar, really. In here, there's an amazing pouch on the front that is perfect for holding all the kinds of stuff that you would need. So especially if you're a student, if you're traveling, you got pins, you can put cards in here, you can hang your keys, there's a little zipper pouch. There's a ton of functionality in here. There are a few things cooler than the experience of opening these guitars for the first time, and I love it. So it comes with the Fender Acoustasonic Player Telecaster, all of the explanation of what does what and what the positions are. These are really cool. They're always really well done. I was so torn. I'm still torn. I got the white one. The butterscotch looks so cool too. And then there's also just the Fender pack themselves. And then this is funny to me. that's not a Fender. So on the front, there's a Gibson Les Paul there. But yeah, so these are Boveda. It looks like they're headquartered in Minnesota, and they're made in the US. And so they're acoustic packs. They help you control the humidity of your guitars, which when this video is coming out is right going into winter, into the fall. And so making sure that you take care of the humidity of the guitar. There's also a truss rod wrench I can feel in there. But this has been a deep dive into the brand new Fender Acoustasonic Player, and it's a really, really impressive guitar. It's really cool, and it is polarizing. So let me know in the comments below. Love it, hate it. What would you use this for? What amp would you play this with? Where would you play it? How would it fit into your guitar arsenal as it exists currently? Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy. I'm the Guitar Hunter. Go fill the world with music and friendship. That's what great guitars do. They cause you to be in better relationships with other people and to discover music in you, and when you do, it will make the world a wonderful place to be. So that's a good message to end this video on. See you guys later.